It appears that historically the most bullish month for Ethereum is rapidly approaching, so I do believe it's time to prepare for such things, going over the monthly statistics and probabilistic scenarios for Ethereum in this case. And other than that, I want to welcome you back to the Krown Crypto channel. We'll do Bitcoin's analysis soon enough, and we'll actually go over a little bit of Bitcoin in this video as well. And today is indeed Wednesday the 27th, one day after Elsa's birthday. I do want to say actually a massive thank you for all the people sending well wishes to Elsa for her birthday. She's from Finland, and Finnish people are notoriously very cold and shy and reserved, and so she's not used to the warmth of strangers just nicely wishing her a happy birthday. So it's pretty damn cool to see, and want to say thank you for that, because it really did make her day. All right, sweet. That's enough of that. That's enough of that mushy gushy shit. Let's jump into the chart view over here, and we can look at all of the prior Januaries in Ethereum's history. There have been 8 prior ones, and of those 8, just blind looking at the chart right here, 6 of those did close positively. The 2 that closed negatively were over here in January of 2022, before Ethereum made new all-time highs, and the one before that was in January of 2019, where Ethereum literally just put in the low for that cycle right here, and then posted a slightly negative. Well, it was actually pretty decently negative gain. So negative gain, loss is what I'm trying to say. Going into my sheets over here, where I've gone through and documented all of the opens and closures. Yeah, 6 out of 8 does give it about 75% probabilistic rate for closing positively, historically speaking. And for the months that it did close positively, the average return was pretty fucking high, 61.73%. With the lowest of those posting 31.73%, the highest one posting 139 and change percent. Now, that was literally the first January in Ethereum's history, so I'd say that's probably an outlier, probably worth getting rid of in this case. But all of the rest of them, at least about 32%, and as much as 78%. Still pretty damn big. So even if we were to get rid of that, we could see that the number would go from about 60% to 46%. I would say that's still pretty damn significant. I'm going to put back on the 139 there, just so we can have it going onwards and forwards. And of course, for the losing months, the 2 losing months for Ethereum, it did lose an average of about 23%. So in terms of crypto, in terms of Ethereum, 23% is big. I would always say that that's big, but it's relatively small for Ethereum, just for what it's worth. I know that sounds crazy to say, but well, it is. I mean, relative to what it can and cannot gain. So, realistically, you're looking at about, above 40% versus about 20% on the losing side. Now, again, the 2 times that we did see Ethereum post losers were very specific scenarios. One was coming after new all-time highs, and the other one was coming after the cycle low. Neither of those conditions are relevant in this particular January over here. So I would say, maybe a little bit more likely. As Ethereum's neither made new all-time highs here nor made cycle lows here. Obviously, the January that made cycle lows was the past one, and actually Ethereum did post some nice positive gains. So I don't know if that even hold up over time. Anyways, probably not super important. But what also is of relevance here is this yellow moving average, just a 20 simple in this case. Actually, it might be a 21, but no, it's just a regular 20. And as you can see, Ethereum in general, whenever it's been above, generally good for the bulls. Whenever it's been below, generally good for the bears. And as you can see right here, Ethereum has had 1, 2, working on close number 3 above that yellow 20 simple. And of course, the longer that it does stay above that 20 simple, the more and more it will inevitably get a neutral and then positive slope. And I expect that it will turn neutral coming into January, so assuming that Ethereum just doesn't dump to hell before then. And of course, anytime that we have seen this have a positive slope over time, those have been your very strong upwards trending markets. So generally, Ethereum kind of set up well here. I do still believe coming into 2024, yes, just like Bitcoin, I do think that there's also going to be a pretty nasty pullback and correction lower. But for Ethereum, it hasn't really had that major move to the upside that we've seen a lot of the other assets within this market have. So I suspect that it probably has still that move to play out to the upside, kind of play catch up as this market does go into a rotational market. And then from there, probably going to see a big correction sometime in Q1 of 2024, and then game on yet again. Similar to my analysis on Bitcoin, but this one just slower and relatively weak compared to Bitcoin, compared to Solana, compared to a lot of the other majors actually, which I know a lot of people don't want to hear, but that's just what it's been, So fair enough. Anyways, going through it, I should also denote that on Wednesdays for Ethereum, it's actually the least likely day to close positively. If we were to look at all of the daily closures in Ethereum's history, it does have a 43.75% probability to close positively. Now, I would say that this one in particular probably does close positively, actually. I'll explain why, just because, well, I think it's quite evident right here. It's probably put in a higher low, as I do think Bitcoin is as well. But what's very interesting about this is that, for the Wednesdays that did close positively, it actually had the greatest return on average for those days at 3.5%, like massively above all the other ones. The next one is still below 3% actually. On average for the losing Wednesdays, I should also say, did lose an average about 2.5%, which is pretty fucking big. But for right now, Ethereum is catching a nice little short-term bounce after yesterday's sell-off, and so far has bounced from open to current price of just under about 1%. If it were to bounce 3.5%, Ethereum would be back up to where would it be? It'd be about 2,300. And at that point, this would be very obviously a higher low, and this would be morphing itself into just continuation formation, whether you want to call it an ascending triangle, whether you want to call it some sort of a channel, whether you want to call it a Jesus toast. I don't fucking care. What matters at the end of the day is trend. And in this case, that would solidify this as the next higher low in a series of higher lows that's been going on. Is there anything else that I want to get to on this particular chart? 4-hour time frame, did we get a buy signal or is it still a sell? I'm actually curious. Nope, it's actually I would not look at that one as legitimate, to be honest with you. Maybe the 6-hour time frame, that's typically the lowest that I really trust on this Oracle Pro indicator, and that one also kind of printing the same thing. But you can see that it's getting chewed up in these sort of sideways markets. It's really the trending moves where this thing does actually perform really, really well. See, catching the upside move right there, catching the upside move right there. But when things do trade sideways, more or less just chops, small losses, small gains, probably amounts to very little at the end of the day until things do start moving again in a general direction. But yeah, as far as Ethereum goes, today I would be looking at, let's go over here to our lovely HPDR bands indicator. We can see that Ethereum is bouncing off of the median of the daily range. So again, this would be a great place for a higher low if it does continue up with this, essentially closing anywhere above yesterday's high, which is 2275 and a half about. Then I would be looking at that as confirmed higher low. Ethereum very likely set up. Again, probably not for December. I mean, December's almost over basically, but very likely early January. I do think that it would start to really catch up and join the rest of the market in these pretty impressive rallies that we've seen across the board. Just Ethereum hasn't really had that sort of an impressive rally. By the same token, Ethereum I would call fucking garbage and like to correct back down, maybe even below $2,000 if you saw it trade below Monday the 18th of December's low, which is basically 2,100. Below there, yeah, this one probably gonna have some pretty nasty problems. At the very least, corrects down to like 2070 after that. And personally speaking, I actually do think that it would come south of 2,000, somewhere around 1950 maybe, and then we come back to it after that, because that would start to look pretty nasty for the monthly view. But putting two and two together, looking at the monthly statistics over here, I do think it's a lot more likely to kind of trade sideways into the end of this year, and then try that next upside move coming into next year. If it does play in alignment with these stats, again, I want to get rid of this outlier, 46%. Let's just, again, play around with the numbers, give it a bit of a range, like 30% on the lower end, because that's what we have seen on the lower end for January's, would put Ethereum at 2,700, basically the breakdown level that we did see from May of 2022. And then if it were to play, on the upper end of that, like 45%, that put it at about 3,000. And that's kind of where I do think January is probably more likely to lead towards for Ethereum. And at that level, you probably start to see corrections anywhere around 3,000. I'd say it's a pretty damn good bet. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Ethereum here. I do want to briefly go over Solana, just because we've made a big point of it, or we've been doing videos on it a lot more recently. Solana did have that nice follow through on the dump off yesterday after we did say, hey, very likely a top's being put in here. Came all the way down from about 126 to 100 even for a nearly 20% loss in the last day. Short term, it's going to bounce around here. It's already doing that, of course. Might bounce a little bit more. Could very easily tag like 116 or even 118. But ultimately, this is kind of like short-term toppy behavior still. I don't think it's gonna fall down more today, by the way, that being Wednesday. I think it trades sideways here for a little bit, comes down probably next week, if it's going to be coming down, which, yeah, it's still say is rather likely. I mean, after getting into really critical regions like this, hard to kind of keep that up. But yeah, in the short term, does it pop back up towards 116, 118? Maybe. I don't think it'd be asking for too much, really. And then trade sideways and probably to the downside. Anyways, also for Bitcoin, let's do a little bit of Bitcoin action as well. We did get to the move to the downside that we were looking at for Bitcoin, down to about 41.5 or 41.6 it looks like. I was saying 41.5, so Krown's wrong again. Fucking kill him. And this is, in my opinion, the bulls' chance right here. They're resting on the bottom end of the 50% range. This is on extremely low volatility for the daily, respectively. So this would be what you're looking for as far as metrics go on a higher low. That would imply that we don't want to see daily closures on Bitcoin below 41.5, basically. Below 41.5, okay. Probably front runnable for, a medium term reversal with price action back down below 40,000 bucks, maybe somewhere around 38 to 37 is where I'd be looking towards. But until then, I do treat this as, as a potential higher low in the making. What would confirm this as a higher low? It's probably not going to happen today, but if it were to happen, just really want to see a closure back above yesterday's high, which is 43,615. If that were to happen, be pretty damn close to the median. Technically, I'd want to see it above the median, which is, a bit higher at 44,130. But at that point, I'd be looking for Bitcoin to, again, continue on with the rally. Like I've been saying, I don't think that this overall rally has that much more to go if it's going to be going any more to begin with. Still looking at a big correction in Q1 of 2024. The question is, how high does Bitcoin get first and foremost? And if it does put in a higher low right here, I'd be looking for Bitcoin to work its way up somewhere around, at least a 50% of historic returns range high, which is now 47,000 bucks. And maybe it goes a little more from there as well. But for right now, it's having the metrics that we would expect on a higher low. Again, very low volatility with a test to the bottom side of the 50% range as it trades sideways in a corrective manner, which is technically on higher lows compared to the low that we did see on Monday, the 18th. So ultimately, I look at that as legitimate and valid until proven otherwise, and it would be proven otherwise with a closure below yesterday's low at 41.5. At that point, have to be looking for a much more severe and prolonged correction to the downside before anything first. Maybe that's even the correction that I'm looking for in Q1 of 2024 if that were to happen. That'd probably be the indication for myself. Anyways, yeah, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off. Forgot to mention, put up the sale for our lovely website yesterday. Not like that came out wrong. We have a holiday sale. It sounds like I'm trying to sell the website. No, we have a holiday sale going on the website, which you can find a link to in the description below, www.crowntrading.net. It's no longer app.crowntrading.net. We migrated over. And yeah, check out all the things that you're looking at over there for a little bit of a discount for the holidays. It'll run until, I don't know, like Tuesday or Wednesday next week. And then it's over for forever. Until the next holiday. Anyways, yeah, that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. Again, Ethereum probably set up well for January, statistically speaking, historically speaking, probabilistically speaking. Solana, we already went over that. In Bitcoin, this could very well potentially be that next higher low that I think a lot of people are looking for right here. So I'll leave things right there. We'll come back at it tomorrow, do a little bit more of a Bitcoin centric video. And other than that, I want to wish you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.